single day, I'm gonna make something great.
Hi, it's Tomorrow again. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already subscribed. Also, you might want to hit that notification bell down below. I think it's over here. Hit that notification bell. You'll see it right down below. That way you'll be notified every time I upload a video. I want to talk to you guys today about phobias. What's your phobia? What are you afraid of? What unreasonable fear do you have? Well, I've got several. One of my phobias is a fear of holes. Not just a hole, but a cluster of holes. Do you guys remember the old school telephone receivers with the holes in the receiver where you're supposed to talk into? That kind of hole, or the holes inside of a dryer in a laundromat, or just clusters of holes. And I'll put some examples up here to show you what I'm talking about. Well, that phobia is called trypophobia. It is the weirdest thing to be afraid of, but it gives me the creeps. Scientists are even starting to think that trypophobia is more than just a phobia. They're tracing it back all the way thousands of years ago when humans had to have this specific instinct for survival, the fear of holes. But for me, if those holes are in a body, just thinking about it creeps me out. If those holes are in a body like this, where they're not supposed to be holes, that really creeps me out. Like if there's a cluster of holes. Back in the days, back in the early 70s, late 60s, there was this doll called Chatty Cathy. And she was my favorite doll. But there was one problem. Chatty Cathy had those holes in her chest or abdominal area where she spoke from. I don't know if that's what caused this fear of mine or not, but trypophobia, look it up. It is the freakiest phobia ever, and it is so inconvenient. When you see holes, when you see this pattern or these clusters, it really gives you just the creeps if you have that phobia. Another phobia that I have is the fear of mice. Story time. I had just became a single parent. I was newly divorced and living with just, my kids and myself. And I saw a mouse in my house. One mouse. And for some reason, whenever someone tells me that they've seen a mouse, or they think they have mice, or they've seen mice somewhere, the first thing that comes to my mind is, what color was it? Well, this mouse, this one mouse that I saw in my house was black. It was a black, or not black, it was dark gray, a dark grayish colored mouse. And it wasn't very big, which mice aren't that big. So I don't really understand having a fear of something so small. Like, I'm not afraid of cats or dogs or porcupines or horses or elephants, but little teeny mice drive me nuts. Well, here's the story. I saw one mouse in my house, and I ran and gathered my children just as if it was a fire in the house. I gathered my children, took them out of the house, and I called 911 to let them know that there was a mouse in my house. And this was back when 911 first became available in my area. And, before that, you used to have to dial 0 to get emergency assistance. But 911 was just started in my area, and as soon as they answered the phone, I knew I had made a mistake. I knew that was just the dumbest thing I could have possibly have done. But being irrational and being faced with my fear, I did the best thing I could think of. Get my kids out of the house, out of the situation, call 911, and let them deal with that one mouse. So, needless to say, they didn't come. And I sort of bluffed my way through the situation by saying, oh yeah, I know I shouldn't have called you guys, and no, I've got it taken care of. And they're like, are you sure, ma'am? Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, I went and got help. I went to a neighbor, and the neighbor came over and searched for this mouse, never did find it. And then the neighbor was kind enough to lie to me and tell me that the mouse probably, when we ran outside, it probably ran outside too. And so then we would never have to deal with a mouse problem again. I ended up moving because I didn't believe the neighbor. It was okay for a while, but I kept getting paranoid, looking down at the floor every time I walked through the house, afraid of one mouse. Well, that was my phobia, and it still is. It's not as bad now as it used to be. Woo. So I don't know the origin of a lot of phobias, but there's so many phobias. There's even a fear of ghosts. There's even a fear of church. There's a fear of mice, as I said. There's a fear of everything you can think of. Well, my thing is this. Fear is always a liar. Don't let fear dictate how you live your life. Don't let fear stop you from realizing your best potential. If you have a fear of airplanes, but at the same time you really want to travel, to another country, don't let the fear of flying or the fear of having claustrophobia prevent you from doing what you know you need to do to have a fulfilling life. Fear is a liar. Now, on that note, I have a message for someone out there. And I feel like you're living in a situation of reasonable fear. Not necessarily a phobic fear, but reasonable fear. I've got to tell you that the situation that you're in can end anytime you want it to end. You can be done with it. Do not allow yourself to feel guilty or obligated or dependent on a situation that is causing you terror. It's time to leave that situation behind, be safe about it, leave that situation behind, and live your life. Don't feel guilty, don't feel desperate, don't feel that you'll never get a chance to have this again. Because there's a saying from the 70s, I believe it's from the 1970s. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and this too shall pass. Believe that. Rectify your situation. You're strong. You can do this. You can do this safely, and I urge you to do this soon. I hope this helps. This is Tomorrow again. I'm wishing you guys, as my cap says, the best of the best. Take care of yourself. Love yourself unconditionally. You are all that you have. Be strong, be safe, and be loved. And most importantly, you are love. And as long as you know that you are love, love will always find you. Always. No exception. And I wish the best to everyone who's watching this video. And I wish happiness to all of you. Thank you.